Who disrupts my coronation?
Everyone has been destroyed because of this freak. I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as we do yet another truncated show because this has been an incredibly busy weekend. Well, at least for me anyway. I'm joined with my best friend, my compatriot, my person who makes all the buttons work and everything not blow up in my face.
Alex, the producer, and I was trying to figure out what kind of innuendo that was, and I realized it could be anything your heart desires.
It's true. You make sure that things don't blow up. You make me sound pretty, and that's okay. Anyway, guys, yes, we are doing yet another shortened show this week, mostly because I've been out at a gaming convention this entire weekend here in Guelph, my first gaming convention since GenreCon, where I moderated Commander Shepard's panel, aka Mark Meir, back in 2020, Alex, was that? Or 21?
What you mean?
Whenever the pandemic started. Or what? Yeah.
No, you didn't go to any of those.
Yeah, I moderated Mark's panel for Ravenloft at GenreCon because he asked me to go. And that's the first time I ever used your field recorder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
yes, that was my cheap recorder that I had, right?
Yeah.
Smaller one. I was gonna say I didn't remember that because I didn't go. And prior to that, was it prior to that we did the Guelph thing where we went just as
people,
the spectators.
Yeah.
No, we had press account for that. We had a press because we were interviewing people on the show. What was that one in Guelph that ran for like 1 year?
Well, we did GenreCon, and then they had their last year. There was Con G, and then they folded.
I think it was GenreCon because you did 2 years of GenreCon.
Yeah, so I went to not new. Turns out GriffCon has been running since 1988, I do believe, at the University of Guelph, and it is the Guelph Gaming Convention that is put on by the university's gaming club. And this was their first year back post-pandemic. They actually had an article in the Guelph Mercury Tribune. Funny how they didn't ask me to cover this one, but I'm actually really glad they didn't this week because I was running games the entire weekend. So I was doing the Renegade Game Studios Transformers, the RPG, which we will be playing here on TWIG during the summer, and I ran 3 4-hour sessions of this on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over the course of the weekend, and I had a fantastic array of players. I had John, who played Tremorak. He was a tree planting truck that had been cycled out from Earth to Cybertron. I had Nathan, who was a volunteer at the convention, but he really wanted to play. So he was playing Shadow Striker, who was a former Decepticon turned mercenary, who was a motorbike with a sniper rifle. And then finally, I had Jamie, who played Daisy, who was a Dinobot, who was an Ankylosaurus, whose name stood for destroy any unscrupulous something Decepticon. It was some weird acronym that basically meant destroy Cybertronians that were
I
bad guys.
I would have just played like a slow dump truck full of cement.
It was kind
Actually,
of
that's probably what I'm going to be. So I'm either going to be a dirt truck or a dump truck or, I don't know.
but yeah, like
You got to think of something funny to transform it into or as.
but yeah, like it was a fairly fun experience. Definitely eye-opening running one of the Play Renegades Essence 20 systems as Alex, you'll be game mastering Power Rangers here on the show before we do Transformers. So this was definitely a good warm-up to experience upticks and downshifts, how the Essence 20 system works, and doing scores and specializations and skill tests. It's a little math heavy at first, but once you get the hang of it, I was very surprised how quickly that system ran. And it's a lot of, if you can make the argument of why this skill works here, go for it. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And my players had such a tremendous time with this.
How was the turnout at the event?
It was. I talked with one of the convention organizers, and they said it wasn't as much as they were expecting, only because they didn't have a whole lot of time to put stuff together. Saturday was packed, and I actually ran into Terrible Warriors alumni there. Cassie Chu, who runs her own dice shop, which Alex, I'll make sure you get the link off of her
Mike,
Twitter.
very quickly, do a Cassie mic check.
Yeah, it was
Just because the loudness level.
oh yeah, like
she's amazing because the amount of volume that can come out of that tiny person is amazing.
oh yeah, like it was a reunion. There was like a big hug on Friday night, and she did something really cool for me. She made me a special set of dice for the weekend, and she made me Decepticon purple Energon themed dice, and she even ordered a custom D2 mold because she pours her own dice, and she's like,
That's
Mike,
right.
this is the first D2 I've ever made. So those dice
wow.
rolled incredible for me all weekend. I actually posted them all over social media, so make sure you grab her dice shop link later.
Well, you know what? If you send me the link, I'll put it in the show notes.
Please do. So yeah,
because obviously friend of the show, friend for a while. I remember when she was starting this, I was following her experiments, and it's not easy to make dice.
No.
Make them, because anybody can pour a mold, but you come into situations where like you don't want like speckled colors to all be on one side. But the things that you don't think about are making sure the dice are balanced.
Yeah, and just making sure like everything is cut the like proper way and everything. Like it was fairly nice.
So, she's become quite the artisan from what I can see.
Yeah, she really has. So having that all done was pretty cool. There was a bunch of vendors there. I handed out a lot of business cards. This like weekend, I spoke with the con organizers. I'm hoping to do more with them next year. I said, hey, I might be a student here next year. We should definitely talk. I'll definitely be back to run games. And this was something really cool. Every night that I ran a game, they gave me prizes to give away.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I gave away the Top Gun board game. I gave away this like racing game with cards, but you also had little mini cars to hand out. And I gave out a like Funko Pop on Sunday. And then there was like a snack cart that like came around. And then at the end of the day on Sunday, like, hey guys, we have like a bunch of stuff left over. So go nuts. So we got a bunch of free snacks. There was like this like after party, but they had Magic, Pathfinder. One of my players, John, ran other Transformers RPGs there, but not the Renegade system. He ran something else that like a fan made back in like the early 2000s that runs fairly well. And yeah, it was just a fairly great time. One of the con people who was selling stuff there, they ran this like interesting Magic booth, came over to us because he like heard us kind of playing, and he's like, how do you get your players to maintain this energy and excitement on a Sunday? Because my guys were hooting and hollering and cheering when we played our finale, the last like 15 minutes of the game. The energy in that room was just amazing.
Well, the answer is cocaine, obviously.
Clearly. And then one also final unexpected bit. One of the people that I play D&D with, my friend B, dropped in on Saturday. I did not expect her to show up. And she's like, Mike, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And she sat in and listened to me DM, and she sent me a message on Saturday night. It's like, I don't know how you managed to pull things off so effortlessly, and just like you adapt to a situation. If there's a problem, you figure it out. The story always keeps moving. And there was one moment on Saturday where I had introduced a complication early on. Basically, one of my players had failed a critical roll where they were trying to reprogram themselves, but they rolled a critical 1. And I'd given them an allotment of story points saying, if you want, I will allow you to re-roll it. But if you fail this roll, regardless of story point outcome, the consequences stay for the rest of the weekend. And they took that advantage, and they failed with a crit 1. So Saturday concluded.
All of your tires blew out, and somebody's going to carry you.
Oh no, it got so much worse. So what had happened? 2 players had guns turned on each other, and because there was like a potential traitor in their midst, and because they didn't trust the one player, Shadow Striker, who was a mercenary, former Decepticon turned mercenary, they're like, well, it must be you. And the Autobot who had tried to fix him is like, but I tried to fix you. He's like, well, that's awfully convenient. And it got amazingly tense, and everybody was like, what's going to happen next? And it turned out so beautifully. And I was exceptionally proud of this. Like, this was a really good moment to show what that system can do. And the best part about it is my player, Shadow Striker, Nathan, he also rolled, he was trying to resist the effects of this mind altering thing. He also rolled a nat 1. I'm like, you are going to brain pan this guy. So roll initiative, guys, and it turned out so beautifully. Like, I'm so happy. So I am probably gonna.
What it is it's 12 plus years of you dealing with the absolute insanity that is Terrible Warriors, and playing the Cambridge games with us, and having to roll with it. That's
yeah, it's pretty much adaptability better be your middle name.
The strong personalities all involved, right? You're just like, it's broken, lesser men.
Yeah, like it was fantastic. I guess finally here, I'm probably going to be running this game, or maybe Power Rangers, down at the Dragon here in Guelph. I am part of the Play Renegade program from Renegade Game Studios, so I will have exclusive adventures to play, and I'll be doing that weekly during the entire summer. So that's my Saturdays, guys. I'm a forever DM, but it's in a property that I really and truly love. So I'll be doing
forever
that.
DM in a professional situation is more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So this is fun. I'm fine. We're fine here. So
it's not D&D. So
yeah, exactly. It's not swords and sorcery. I'm fine with that stuff, but I want to be a player for a while. By the way, that game is going amazing.
What's that, Michael? You want to be exactly like Critical Role?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I ain't Matt Mercer, and I'm fine with that.
I say as I cross my eyes and look like a crazy person.
But yeah, like it's been a very rewarding experience, and I guess finally in news for me, I kind of forgot till about midnight last night. Oh yeah, I can apply to graduate from my creative writing program, so I should maybe get on that once I get my final grades in. And
that's, for anybody that doesn't know how it works in not for every program, but in a lot of college level programs, which is different than university here, when you're doing a part-time program, you have X amount of years to complete all the courses, or a set amount of optional courses, and then once you've got at least the base requirements, the apply to graduate just means you have to submit it to the school, and they have to verify you finished the courses. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's not like you're at university. You're just like, hey, please let me graduate. It's not that. It's that it's when you're doing part-time studies, you have that option. Like do 5 of these courses and then 7 of these random courses, or 7 of a pool of 10 or something. And then once you've completed them, you can do more, or you can just, get your certificate now.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be getting all that figured out in the next couple of weeks, and then I'll have yet another diploma on my wall, because then I will be applying to University of Guelph, and I will be applying as a transfer student, which means maybe my first year course load won't be as severe as I think it will be. So yeah, that has been my life for the last couple of weeks. Oh, okay, one final update, and this is a big personal update. As many of you know, I drive a motorized wheelchair to get around. I drove that thing clear across Guelph. And to give you people an idea of scale, I've driven about 10 kilometers on this thing easily. That's about as far as I've ever taken it. Basically, I can go to the movies from where I live.
About 4 to 5 miles.
Yeah. So this time I'm like, I want to see what else I can do, and I'm going to do it differently than I've ever done it before. So I drove clear across Guelph to the university. I'm thinking, there's going to be some days I'm going to want to drive to school. I want to know what it's like. So I did that in just over an hour and 20 minutes. So that's pretty good time. I think the total trip ended up being about 18 kilometers, and my battery was only halfway down. So
about 8 or 9 miles then. That's not bad for round trip.
Let's say, yeah. So I was very impressed. So my old wheelchair could only do 25 kilometers max on a single charge. This new wheelchair, I think I could push this thing up to 35, maybe even 40.
It's a more efficient, newer version?
Yeah, so that's really impressive. So
now, what the most impressive thing to me is that you made it without hitting either a pothole or construction or a blocked sidewalk, because old parts of Guelph are kind of rickety on the sidewalks.
Well, that's why I am working with the city's Accessibility Advisory Council to fix those problems, because that's what I do.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to some of the older parts of town, it's really hilly and messed up looking.
Yeah, and there is talk about improving like curb cutouts and sidewalk repairs. Yeah. There actually is a form to get all that fixed now, which I do know a lot of the city councilors. But anyway, yeah.
Like where you live, like when you go to the movies, that straight shoot, the sidewalks are 1.5 people wide, like they're more modern. Mm-hmm. But when you go to like the downtown core, you've seen some of those, like the right downtown, it's fine. But like getting to downtown, it's the old school, like 1960s sidewalks that are like all chopped apart. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually amazed you made it all the way to the university. Like once you get to university grounds, super accessible.
Oh,
it's just all the side streets getting there.
But yeah, like it was a nice trip. I took a thing known as the rail trail, mostly downtown, so I can avoid most of the sidewalks. And it's a very pleasant nature-ish drive, and I'm really glad that I did it. So anyway, that has been my week. What about yours, Alex? And then we should tell people what reviews that'll be coming up this week.
Yeah, sure. So this week was hot. And by hot, I mean with humidity 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, which meant we were on the cusp of not being able to sleep without air conditioning, but I managed to make it through it by staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning and having fans on. And because of that heat, it was good to sort of get out and do as many things, in air conditioned buildings as possible. So let me think here. What did I see? I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I enjoyed, and with my brother. And then I saw Suzumi, the new anime feature film, on Saturday. That was also quite a good experience. I had some nitpicks with it where I was like, hey, some of these plot points are a little convenient or moving fast, or I don't believe it. But on the whole, it was quite a good movie. Some of the best animation I've seen for layering of backgrounds and so on and so forth, which was good there. I've been playing a few games for review. I want to see what I can actually mention wise, because there was about 2 or 3 days where I played a specific game for review that I had a really good time with that I don't know if I can mention until next week, so I probably won't. But it's one of the one of the mini majors. I'll say that, in that it's one of the larger titles released from an independent company, not through like a first party developer. And beyond that, I've been prepping things. I went through and I found my old 5 terabyte hard drive. I say old in that it hasn't been used in a couple of years. I had it in storage.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, what I found was I was like, oh crap, I forgot I had been doing this big project before the pandemic hit, where I was going through all of my my home media archives, like all of my Blu-rays, and I was making sure that I made, you know, personal backups so I could have them on my server and not wreck my discs. And I went, I have 2 terabytes of anime that I forgot that I have the movies and everything, but I forgot that I had the digital copies. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go and finally convert these, and that's what I've been doing the last few days, to then have on my media server so I don't have to pop my discs in every single time. And I remembered that with my new video card, what would have been like a 2-hour process per movie is now 14 to 15 minutes. And I'm at full quality at like a quarter of the size. So I'm a very happy camper that way. The other thing I did was I had an eye doctor appointment. My optometrist had retired, the same guy I had seen since 1995. So that made me sad panda for a little bit. But the lady doctor that took over for him, she is fantastic. And because I'm a diabetic now, as of like last September, I had to get that other test done that I know Blair says she has done, where they like take pictures of your corneas and your all this sort of stuff. It's very interesting. And had all that done, got my prescription, and then I went online and ordered glasses online from Vancouver, because it was like way cheaper, like $60 versus $200 or $300 here. And it only took 2 days for them to make the glasses and ship them across the country. So I am now wearing new glasses. I found out that my eyes are all healthy, but the prescription did change, so I had to get new ones. So it's sort of been, you know, a mixture of adulting, a mixture of trying to stay cool, as well as doing some reviews and watching some movies, and just in general having a pretty good time this week. I'm glad that it's finally cooled off now, and we're going to be, you know, the next 2 weeks or so, it's going to be cool. So it's time to get all that spring cleaning done before it heats up again.
See, whereas I'm the opposite. I really enjoyed the hot weather, but which is a weird thing for me to say.
Well, you also have the ability to, where you're located, if you need a lot of airflow, you have it.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, my apartment, there, unless the wind is blowing directly on us, there's not a lot of airflow. So you have, like where you are, you have, like, I don't have a door to the outside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have the screen door that you could, you know, lock it or whatever, but you could have, you know, a full 7-foot screen door that you could have just air coming into, right? I do not. So,
but yeah, so we have a lot of stuff to be talking about here on the show today. And like I said, this is a truncated version, as we will be back doing a full show next week. So we have a couple of reviews. We're going to be taking a look at probably another Transformer from me. I do have other stuff, I promise. We're going to be looking at that. And then Alex, you're not quite sure what you're going to be putting in for review this week. So
yeah, I've had a few things. I've got things that I've finished. It's just, you know how things are with embargoes. It's like some things come out next week, some things come out whenever. But I will have, I'll have a couple items, probably a game and maybe some other form of media. I'm just not sure yet if I could talk about it.
All right, so we will be talking about all that and more right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our plans coming up for the week, because we do have a lot of Star Trek to be talking about in the next little bit. So we'll be back, guys, right after these reviews from me and Alex. We'll be back right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. As always, thank you for joining us. I've been Mike the Birdman. He's been Alex the producer. And take it away!
Basically, he was a geeks.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
That's it. That's it. A little further. Perfect.
Hello there! I'm Megatron. What's your name?
Orion. Orion Pax. It's really thrilled to meet you, sir.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here, and I'm here to take a look at something really special we got from our friends over at Hasbro. I'm talking about the Transformers Legacy A Hero Is Born 2-pack featuring Alpha Trion and Orion packs. Now, you can find this thing at some GameStops if you are in Canada. You can also check select toy retailers, but you can also pick this up on HasbroPulse.com if you want to look around there as well. So what we are getting here is Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion is a retool of the Scourge mold and the sweeps that you may still find those on shelves right now. I know they are still haunting my local Walmart right now. And gotta say, this is really cool just to see a G1 accurate Alpha Trion. He transforms into the space boat, though I don't think he transformed during the original cartoon, or at least it's been like 20 years since I've seen it, so who knows. But he does look pretty cool. He does come with like a huge ass gun. Now, I do remember, I think he wielded like a staff or something in the cartoon. So Alpha Trion is definitely never meant to be a frontline warrior. So that's kind of a thing, but whatever. Pretty easy transformation, although I did notice two things while I was transforming my particular Alpha Trion. My cape pieces, they're kind of the maroon pieces that go on either side of his arms. Mine kept falling off during transformation, so I don't know whether I just got a bad one or if that's an issue with this particular mold. I have seen other reviewers, they were able to get theirs super tight to the body during transformation. Mine just never seemed to, so I don't know whether I did something wrong or not, as I've read the instructions multiple times, I watched a video on transformation, and mine just never seemed to go in super tight, so maybe I'm just dumb. But still, when he's transformed into his bot mode, he looks so nice. The next thing I'm going to talk about is actually one of the most important things to the Transformers universe, and that's Vector Sigma. This is the thing that gave life to the aerial bots, to the Stunticons, and it's basically the Transformer supercomputer that grants life and sentience to all robotic life on Cybertron, and this is like pre-Allspark stuff, so this is really cool, and certainly didn't expect this in as a pack-in accessory. It also has the key to Vector Sigma, although don't stick this thing in all the way because you could break it and nobody wants that. That's just not good. And then the other big thing to talk about this piece is it comes with Orion packs. Orion packs, once a lowly Cybertronian file clerk. That's right, Optimus Prime used to be a data jockey before he was wounded and he was rebuilt by Alpha Trion into the leader we now know and love today as Optimus Prime. And he is a retool of the Cup mold, and there's been two versions of Cup. There was the original Studio Series 86 one, there's the buzzworthy Bumblebee, which does have some differences here. So what you get here is essentially Cup, but he's got a new chest piece and a new head sculpt, and he still comes with the same accessories. So he still comes with his gun, and I just found this out. Evidently, the thing I thought was a communicator is his Energon Goody thing. So if you remember the 1986 movie where he feeds the Sharkticons and the Alicons the Energon Goodies, that's what that is. I thought it was a communicator, so I'm, again, dumb. It's a pretty nice representation of Orion packs, and I don't know whether there's been other ones that were officially licensed before this, but this is definitely my first one. So having this as a G1 guy is really, really cool. And when I put him in alongside the Siege version, it's just kind of cool just to see how far the figures come. I also have the Transformers Red version. I just got the one for Combiner Wars a little while ago. So this is really cool just to see this is where Optimus came from, is just from this lowly Autobot soldier file clerk guy, and now he's one of the greatest leaders the Autobots has ever known. And it's cool. This, like I said, this can be a little tricky to find right now, but if you look online, I'm sure you can find it. I have seen them in GameStops locally where I live, so doing a little bit of searching is probably worth it. It's not going to be as hard to find as the key to Vector Sigma himself, but still, rather cool. Do I recommend this? Well, if you're a big person who's into the lore of the Transformers and you want to complete sort of that season 1, season 2, season 3 arc of the original G1 cartoon, then yeah, this definitely kind of fits into that. However, these are retools, like I said, of Cup and Scourge / the Sweep. So judge your mileage accordingly there. So until next time, guys, this has been Mike the Birdman saying, till all are one.
Just cool out. He'll tell us when he's done.
Well, it's finished. You may not recognize him. He is no longer Orion Pax. Now he is the first of our new defenders, Optimus Prime.
You've caused enough destruction for one day, Megatron. I haven't even started. You? Who are you? Your worst nightmare.
This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or glue sniffers.
A little while ago, I was sent a PlayStation 5 review code for Formula Retro Racing World Tour. Now, what is this? This is an indie title, and it seeks to replicate the late 80s, early 90s, very early 90s, when we first entered polygonal racing titles. Think like the hard driving, race driving stuff, like the Atari arcade style stuff, or the very early, like pre-Daytona, Formula One style racers, the stuff that you see like virtual racing, that kind of thing. Only, in clean resolution, modern, 4K, and so on, but having the exact look and feel of something from 30 years ago, maybe even 33, 34 years ago. You would have played in an arcade and been completely wowed with. And it does a pretty good job. In playing it, there's a few modes you can select from. There's an arcade mode, a Grand Prix mode, Eliminator, and a free practice. They have tracks from around the world created for this. So there's like a Montreal, London, Paris, Rome, New York, Las Vegas, Berlin, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Santiago, San Francisco, what was the other ones here? Snowdonia Drift, Hyzon Drift, Miami Drift, Santa Monica Drift, Sao Paulo Drift, Indiana Oval, and Alabama Oval. And there are destructible cars. As you're racing, you can do damage to other vehicles. Tires can fly off and they'll go off screen. And then if you take too much damage, you'll end up crashing. And it's like when your cars bust apart, it's low poly, so they break apart and chunk apart like something you'd see in like the early CGI animation TV shows like Reboot, or something you might see in like Beast Wars, Transformers, where chunks fly off and then do the whole flippy dippy thing where they like spiral and fly. The sparks are all done and smoke is done in like chunky N64 style smoke and particle effects, and it all runs at a buttery smooth 60 FPS. So it's just sort of a good hybrid of back then. It's actually a pretty good race. So the AI, while difficult, is not unfair. It's definitely got better AI than games of that era. This is also available on PS4, and the main difference is resolution compared to PS5. So expect, like 1080p 60 on the PS4 and then 4K 60, which again doesn't do a whole heck of a lot because of the art design of this is made to be low poly, a lot of solid colors throughout. Where you'll see a difference, if anything, because it runs smoothly in both versions, will be maybe some, less less aliasing on the 4K resolution screen if you're playing it on a 4K panel, like on a larger TV. And then I didn't experience any color banding being an issue or anything. So it's mostly just output resolution is the difference. I did not experience things like adaptive triggers or anything. I don't think they're taking advantage of the controller, but again, indie title. And I'm just happy that it works. It's smooth to play. The sound effects and music and overall aesthetic feel is spot on. It's very responsive when you're driving. You feel there's no delay, there's no lag or anything. It's just a competently put together, retro throwback racing game. And I think if you like that style, if you like the old arcade games of back in the day that were no nonsense, you'll have a pretty good time with this.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Hold that thought. It's crapper time.
Thrust! Show yourself! Have you made your decision? I have, Thrust. I think I'll stay put here with bots I can trust. You disappoint me, and you'll live to regret your decision. What? Starscream, I fully understand your desire for revenge against Megatron. You don't understand anything about me, Thrust. I'll get my revenge because I have the tools to get the job done. So out of my way, or I'll slice you in half, you pathetic snake! Oh, you talk a tough game.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm here to talk to you about something really cool we got for review from our good friends over at Hasbro. I'm talking about Transformers Generations Legacy Voyager Armada Universe Starscream. That's right, we are talking about Starscream, one of the biggest villains, heroes, if you happen to look at it from a certain point of view, of the Transformers universe. And Armada has been one of his most popular incarnations in a really, really long time. We have previously seen Hotshot released from the Armada universe, and seeing Starscream here in a Voyager scale is fantastic. This iconic red jet is one of the coolest figures I've seen so far, in the fact that it gives you so much range of posability, which is generally where I do most of my analysis for Transformers, is how well do they hold up as action figures and not just a marvel of engineering. And Starscream does some really, really, really cool stuff. In fact, has a really neat gimmick when it comes to his transformation, where you can slide his arms to create these like kind of jet intakes when he transforms into jet mode. He comes with two weapons. He comes with his wing that turns into a sword, which is I guess like the original Armada toy, and he also comes with a scaled version of the Star Saber, which again, it's been a really long time since I've seen any Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, so don't quote me line for line, but he comes with that as well. His cannons move from his back, so you can give him a little bit more posability that way, and they're also compatible with like blast effects. I posted a couple pictures on social media the other day. I was using some of the Guardian Robot blast effects, so it looks like he has these gigantic just weapon blasts just firing out of his shoulder cannons, but you can also attach smaller effects, so you could put it in his booster so it looks like he's flying away really fast. I kind of wish I had one of those action figure flight stands to make him look like he's flying away. He's got really good articulation. He actually has waist articulation, and he even has gap fillers in the back of his legs, if I remember correctly. So he looks like a very, very, very solid figure. Transformation is really, really, really easy. It's a fantastic looking jet mode, and he just carries this era of, and Starscream would love it if I were to describe him as this, just this era of royalty and elegance. Like the Voyager figures that are coming out of the Transformers Generation Legacy lines are utterly fantastic, and it's hard to find anything to really complain about these guys. I did find one of my joints was maybe a little bit looser than what I would like. Like I kept having his wings pop off, but those are hyper posable, which is kind of nice too. I've heard some other reviewers suggesting there might be some third-party upgrade kits coming somewhere down the line for this figure. I know I'm not going to mess with it, but like, it's cool. I do wish that the Star Saber was bigger from some of the reference photos I've seen. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody gets like a scaled up version from like a 3D printer or something like that. But it is kind of cool. You can store the weapons on his wings, which does look a little bit goofy. That's probably my only real downside to this. But Transformers Generation Legacy Voyager Armada Universe Starscream is a great figure. If you like the Armada Universe figures, then by buying more of these, you're going to encourage more. Like, I know we've got Armada Optimus Prime coming. I can't imagine why we wouldn't get Megatron at some point. I would love to see Shock Blast, honestly, or Tidal Wave. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe Armor Hide. Just any of the other characters that were really iconic to that series, or from the Transformers Renegade RPG. I know they mentioned some of those characters in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. But seriously, it's a great figure. If Armada was your jam growing up, then you owe it to yourself to get this amazing figure. So once again, that's Transformers Generation Legacy Voyager Armada Universe Starscream. You can pick this up at multiple retailers, HasbroPulse.com, GameStop, or just look around in your local Walmarts or other big box retailers.
Surprise! What's going on?
Thanks a lot for the present, Starscream!
I don't think I follow.
And we even got a cake!
We made this for you.
So, what is it?
A handmade polishing chamois. Use it to polish anything, even runway, for example.
Yeah, right.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
Welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net, and again, welcome to the Truncated Show. We do appreciate you taking a listen to the reviews, because, hey, we got to make people happy out there in review land. But we have a lot to cover this week. So me and Alex, we're going to be talking about Star Trek. We're going to be talking about the series finale of Picard coming up really soon with myself and Aaron. I promise I'll get a word in edgewise this time, but that's not all. So
see, the problem is when Michael tired, he doesn't want to talk.
No, you guys wouldn't shut the hell up. I couldn't talk. But
I know. We also recorded later at night than we usually did.
Yeah. The other thing we're going to be talking about, Paramount just released, just in time for Picard, a 4-pack of the Star Trek The Next Generation movies on 4K. This is the first time they've been available. Now you can buy them individually or as a set, and they've carried all the legacy special features over. So this is the definitive collection. You want Star Trek? You got Star Trek. So we'll be talking about the transfer. I can talk about the extra value you are in getting all the archival special features, because not every set has everything, but this one does. So we'll be talking about that.
Yeah. I'll say one thing right now, as it's sort of in progress. I've watched one of the films, and there was questions, I think online even, I saw on forums, people asking, like, are there any features on the actual 4K discs? And because it made it look like the only feature they had on the 4K discs was a text commentary from the Okudas that were created for it. Mm-hmm. And that's the only new feature on there. They do have all of the audio commentaries from the Blu-rays on the 4K copies.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it's just audio. So it's not
and it's not. That's the thing. On the boxes, it doesn't say that. It says features like for 4K, and it just has the Okuda text commentary. But when you actually put the disc in and you go to play it, I was watching, and you go to audio options, it lists all the commentaries.
Right. So that's good to know. So that saves me like 10 minutes of disc switching.
Yes. I checked all of them. So they're there. They're just not, it's not printed on the box.
All right. So other than that, though, we're also going to be doing a prototype coming up probably the end of next week, maybe first week of May, just because I'm at City Hall a lot next week. We're probably going to be doing our look back at The Last of Us. We're also going to kind of talk about what does the future of video game adaptations look like now, because Mario has been out for almost a month now. It's getting a lot of really good audience review. Critics are kind of mixed on it, but it also means when you stick close to the source material, people will be happy. You don't have to do bizarre things like the original Mario Brothers did or Double Dragon. Has the video game curse finally been broken? Did The Last of Us and the Mario movie finally cement that in people's minds, thinking, look, here you have it, and it's that meme of a guy going here. So we have stuff like more Witcher coming out. We got Fallout coming up. We got Mass Effect at like some point. Need for Speed. Twisted Metal supposedly coming from Peacock at like some point. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in that show. Plus Star Wars Day is coming up on May the 4th. If I don't get a review copy of Jedi Survivor, I will be talking about it. I may do a solo prototype on that if I can rip through it really quickly, but we also should talk about the season finale of The Mandalorian season 3, kind of a Star Wars television in progress report. Because I didn't get through Andor, but I can probably rip through that in like a couple of days.
Same thing. It didn't interest me, yet everybody's saying it's the best one that they've done.
Yeah.
And I fully blame the marketing for looking boring to me.
I've heard it's very dry. Like there's not.
Yeah.
It's
like we will definitely have to talk about the state, like what Disney Plus has done to Marvel and Star Wars. Like I feel like it's kind of killing the momentum of the shows by having so much.
It's a little bit difficult to keep up on certainly like don't get me wrong before we get out of here. I still love Mando. I'm looking forward to Ahsoka, especially considering what it's adapting.
Yeah.
But to understand elements of Ahsoka and even Mando season 3, you need to have seen the Clone Wars. Now they've done a pretty good job of adapting why you need to understand this, but someone made an interesting comment online that people are like, oh no, poor Bo-Katan. I'm like, in certain perceptions, she was a terrorist who sold out Mandalore. From their argument, I don't know. I haven't seen that. But even in the episode, she explains, I had to do this to save our people, blah, blah, blah. And I guess they're simplifying a little bit, but Dave Filoni was in charge of that, and as well as Rebels. So it's not like this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So
well, and I think where we're entering into some issues with viewership is, did you
it's
notice?
Homework.
Yes, it's becoming that way. I enjoyed the Hawkeye show, yet the more and more I read about it, a lot of people didn't watch it.
Which is weird, because I thought that was friggin' fantastic.
And a lot of people didn't watch Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
or they watched one episode and said, "No, I'm kind of done." And yet that was also really interesting. And I'm thinking we're hitting a point now where there's fatigue in people not want, like people. A lot of people were like, Hawkeye should have been a single movie. It should have been like a 3-hour movie, not spread over 6 or 8 episodes. And Obi-Wan, they're like, that should have been a 2-hour movie. Why did it have to be several episodes? Or what I think really killed it was Boba Fett was terrible. And they had to, you could see that they had to fix it by making the last 3 episodes Mando 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely different. Different directors, different writers, and different look. And like you could see in the middle of their production, they knew that it wasn't going to work. And they just had to keep making it. So you can see that there's fatigue, and to the point now where they've openly said they're scaling back Disney Plus productions, and they're even scaling back the amount of movies they're doing in the Marvel phases. Because they're starting to see, they're afraid if they commit now that they're going to have such diminished returns, they're not going to make the money that they were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a smart move. And if anybody wants to complain, we're going to get less. It's like, no, because more does not mean better. I would rather take higher quality than more content.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping we'll get better Star Wars. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Skeleton Crew. I'm really going to get around to watching Star Wars Vision sometime in the next week or two, because that's the Star Wars anime project. There's a second season coming up
and
soon.
that's easy. That's a lot easier to consume because you can do it at your own pace and it doesn't have any bearings on anything.
Well, yeah, it's like literally here's like an hour and a half, maybe you're done.
That's their version of the what if stuff, right? So
yeah, so I'm totally fine with that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff for us to talk about. We'll probably get Ken and JT on board with that. And yeah, I know we're going to be doing more loose cannons. We're going to be doing more stuff. We actually finally got around to recording our huge epic on Theodore Rex and Prehysteria this past week.
That was a chore.
That was a lot of fun. I actually had a lot.
Not the recording, the watching.
Yeah, the watching was an interesting experience, and I learned a lot about movie production because Enrique is a filmmaker himself. So we learned about what it's like to distribute movies in different countries and why that.
Well, yeah, we had a very interesting thing because this is the first time that we've recorded a loose cannon where the hosts were completely split, 50% in the States, 50% in Canada. Very different movie going experiences for those films.
Yeah, because well, you'll have to wait and find out. So we'll have that out in probably about a week or so. So yeah, anyway, guys, we are going to get out of here. Like I said, next week is back to your regularly scheduled programming as we begin to move into spring and start looking at summer. And that means E3. Well, it doesn't exist, but there's going to be a lot of gaming news coming out in June, so don't worry. We will be covering all that. We will be doing our Power Rangers thing before the summer. We'll record Transformers during the summer. You're going to have a lot of content to consume between now and then. We are taking our annual break from Canada Day until the end of July. Well, you can email. It's just expected delay. We're going to be having ourselves a good time. I am done school for the semester. No more school, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks until September. So anyway, I do have a few more courses to finish up at college for fun this time. So maybe I'll take something weird. Who knows? But I'm done my program. I'm excited. So September, I can take a leisurely stroll before I prepare for university next year. So anyway, for ThisWeekInGeek.net, we have been
Alex, the producer.
I've been Mike, the Birdman, saying, well, guys, until next time, be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys next week on our full-length show right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.